Hey y'all, it's Alicia and welcome back to Alicia's Crafty Hoblob, and I am very excited to be on here tonight as a participant in the monthly card collab hosted by Metal Scrappin Chick and Crafty Crabb. I was really excited when I was invited to participate in this collab. Had to give some thought to whether or not I could handle it because I won't make a commitment if I can't keep it. But I really liked the idea of this collab. As y'all know, I don't make things and keep them in my stash. I just don't. I make for each person. But I have been really aching to make a stash of cards. Like Misty C did, like a nice big stash of cards. Because when I send out Happy Mail or Racks of Love, I want to be able to send a handmade card. And usually I've spent so much time making the package that I don't have enough time to then make a card. So, sorry, my husband's having supper. So the thing is that I thought this would be really a great opportunity to do that. And I've been a big fan of Metal Scrappin Chick's work for like 8 months now. I love her cards. I love her card making. And I'm always excited when she does an upload onto YouTube. So I thought it'd be really nice to do this project with her. So thank you both very much. Thank you to Metal Scrappin Chick and to Crafty Crabb for inviting me to participate. And I'm super excited to share with you my cards. This month we were challenged with doing a floral themed or spring inspired set of cards. And I knew right away the paper pad I wanted to use, which is so strange for me. You're all going to be super surprised, I think, when I tell you what it is. I chose Jen Hadfield's Heart of Home. I'll tell you what it is about this pad, which is so funny. When you guys see the hues in this pad, you're going to be like, Leash, that's not your normal palette. It's not. But when I think of spring, I am transitioning from winter to spring, this is the pad I think of. It's got a lot of tans and trees just starting to bud. It's got a lot of birds' nests and starting to lay eggs. There's just something very spring-like for me about this pad. And notice that kind of green that's just starting to come through. It looks like when winter starts to clear out of New York. So I knew right away I wanted to use that pad. And so here's what I did. I chose the page with the bird's nest on it and the beginning of spring coming. So the trees are still bare. They're just starting to bud, and you can see that. And they're starting to bud in different iterations of green. And I love that about this page. So I took it out. I distressed the edges, both with a knife and with distress photo, because we all know vintage photo, distress ink is one of my favorite things. But the first time I did it, it was a bit too delicate. And I realized, oh, I want this to be muddy. In my head, spring is super muddy, because in New York it gets muddy. Actually, it gets muddy in Toronto too in spring. So I went back over it. See, I've gotten pretty practiced at being delicate in my staining, and I was like, now you got to let go. And I thought of you, Miss Bertha Blessed Wilson, when you were like mindless crafting. I was like, nope, I'm going for it. I want this to look muddy. So I went back and I muddied it up in a very purposeful way. A little less up here, but much more at the bottom. So it felt like, that muddiness of spring. So once I did that and I distressed that and I laid that down, the next thing I knew I wanted to do was use this amazing, I don't know what to call this really. It's holographic AB hair-like straw. And it's kind of a wackadoodle product. I have it in my stash. I have been dying to use this product. And the second I knew what I wanted to do for this card, I knew I was going to use it to make like a not literal holographic bird's nest, but to give the feeling of a bird's nest. So what I did was I cut several strands of that and I layered it up at the base, at the bottom. And now on my camera, unfortunately, folks, you're not going to be able to see it. And that's just too bad. I wish that you could see this in detail. In the light, you can see a little bit of it. There, good. There it is. See? It's all coming out in sprigs loosely from behind the florals. And so that gives a great texture to the person when they were holding the card. You can actually see it, and it adds this amazing texture. And in the light, it's just the holographicness of it captures it, and I just love it. So the next thing I knew that I wanted to do was, this is one of the first dies I ever bought. And I bought it at Hobby Lobby, and I can't remember, folks, if this is a Memento or a Sizzix die. A Memento or Sizzix, I can't remember. But I remember that I loved it. I loved it, and I still love it. But I'm going to tell you all something so funny. It is a pain in the you-know-what to die cut. See all the holes in the back? See the 1,000 holes? That's because if you don't poke out each and every one very carefully with one of these doohickeys, you will tear it as you pull it out. And I'm not delicate. I had to learn to be delicate and patient. And so this took me a long time to learn how to pull out well. And I deliberately left it so until I did the video for this so that you guys could see how much is left behind and how much you have to clean this dye out after. Even with all of that, I still love this dye, and I'll tell you why. I love using it as a base to build this kind of card. And yes, you could probably get the same effect if you had a mason jar die, which I also have, but I like all the sprigs that come out. And so I don't use them just as they are. So what I did was I didn't just distress ink, I actually distressed again using a knife. I built up texture, and I also didn't attach all of them perfectly because I wanted them to come out 3D. And then on top of that, I distressed inked all the bottom of the mason jar, and then I muddied it up also a little bit. I didn't want it looked too pristine when I first did it. So I actually went through and muddied up and made it look a little smudgy because I wanted that effect. And then I used real baker's twine, like the kind I use when I actually do cooking and baking from my actual cooking cupboard, because I wanted that ivory color and I wanted it to be thinner, and I wrapped it around, and then I also stained some of that. So once that was done, I added several flowers, different flowers that come from my stash, and they were gifted to me from many different people because they're from different Prima packs, except for this one, which I hauled myself ages ago. It's a silk rose. And I treated each flower very differently with a different treatment. So this one is what I call a sugar dust. So this is a very, 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 very fine glitter that I apply very carefully and shake off, and then apply and shake off. And it just looks like you've dusted or you've coated the flower in sugar. It's really pretty. Then this one over here, this bigger, more shiny, beautiful Prima flower, for that one I used my favorite stickles, which, I mean, there isn't a name, I don't think, or a number, so I just call it the holographic stickles. So the first thing is I don't use the stickles right away. I do a holographic paste treatment. Remember, I've been telling you all lately I've been using this holographic sort of paste thing. And so I'm giving my husband the eye because he's chewing very loudly, and I'm pretty sure you guys are all hearing him eat supper. All right, so I treated it with that, and then I went over just the edges with the stickles because it just needed a little extra blingy bling. So that's what I did. And then on the third one, which is the white, it's much more subtle. And for that, I used a very soft glitter mixed together with a little bit of like a Mod Podgy glue and PVA that I just applied very gently. And that is the end of that card. And then the inside, because I ended up knowing who I was making this for, I had saved a letterpress piece, which is an actual letterpress piece that came from a letterpress gallery. And it says, "I am a storm cloud and you are a rainbow." And so this is a thank you card. So that was card one, and that was a heck of a lot of fun to make, really joyful, in my first spring project. I was really excited about it, super, super excited. Now I had card two right here to show you, and I see it. Yes, it's right here. Forgive me, I'm just gonna reach over. This one's a little different, and I wanted to do something radically different from the first card because I thought, well, we want to do different things to test out different methodologies. And if you've been watching my channel lately, you know I've been having a lot of fun with mixed media and playing around with it. So I created something that was inspired by the policy envelopes I've been playing around with, but also it was inspired by Dawn H. Because I loved something she did when she created a book for me. Well, actually, I won it as a prize, and it's the most beautiful book, folks. I have it right here on the shelf. And I loved all these pull tabs that she created. And so, Dawn, you are fully responsible for this because that's what inspired this card. So this is a mini policy envelope that I created. Really, it's like a little pocket holder. And I guess it's not really a policy envelope, it's just a little pocket. And on it, I painted in the background. Then I stamped, and I stamped it with butterflies and ink blops. And then I went back and I ink dotted it. And then I distressed all the way around the edges. And I applied, unfortunately, you won't be able to see on this camera, I don't think. There is this beautiful gold webbing. And I applied that. And then I die cut out of my favorite gold foil marbled paper, a doily to layer behind. And then on top, this is a piece from the Jen Hadfield heart of home, the same as the paper pad, and it just says thinking of you. And then this is a little piece of gorgeous, gorgeous silk ribbon that Miss Donna Dreams sent me. She hand dyes these. So this is a luxury item, folks. Oh yeah, and it's so soft. It's so soft. So you pull this out, and this says, "We are family." And I used the cut apart from the collection for this. And I clearly, I don't know if you can see in the light, I hope you can, but maybe not. I did a holographic circle all the way around. I'm getting better at keeping it even. I added a gem here. This is a silk flower that I actually did use like glittery glass on it. I'm not sure if on my camera you're going to be able to see that. I don't think so, unfortunately. And then I added some beautiful liquid pearls in a muted gold. And that is the second card. So those are my two cards. They're profoundly different. One is, you know, my love of mixed media and hand-painted things that I'm really enjoying exploring, but still using the same collection. And the other is a more traditional floral piece. But they're both about spring. Like, both of them were from the exact same collection that for me always thinks about spring, like always brings to mind spring. They're both floral in their own way. This one is more obviously floral, and this one, when you pull it up, reveals the floral. So I hope you enjoyed those, and I hope that you really take the time to watch everybody's work in this collab, because we're only sharing 2 cards. It's really easy and quick to watch everybody's beautiful work, and I know I looked at everybody who posted today, and the projects were fantastic. So please take the opportunity, I'm putting the links down below, to go and see everybody's beautiful cards. Thanks again to Metal Scrapping Chick and Crafty Crabb for inviting me to participate, and I will see you all next month, and we are doing a masculine card. So thank goodness for Crafty Lady Lisa and her cute little shirt card tutorial, because that was the one where I was like, what the heck are you going to make? And now I have an idea. All right, y'all. Take real good care, and thanks so much for stopping by. Bye for now.